have to stumble into it. But there's all kinds of interesting safety mechanisms that we use here. So we've laid out how to do reversal drives, communication drives. You can avoid resistance because if you cleave and there's selection to get communication, so it won't cleave anymore. But if you have multiple guide RNAs, multiple places in the central gene, then you can avoid that development of resistance to the guide RNAs. You can make it so that because it's reversal, and here's one of my favorites, is that you can go into a population, small population, say island. You can push through one gene drive, which can decode if you replace the essential gene with a recoded gene. So now the whole population has a recoded one. And that can be done in ways called thresholding, so that it only works if you just kind of shock and all the population with a large number of gene drives. But then you bring in a second gene drive, called drive D, which is not a threshold. It will spread, even if there's like one insect or one organism that introduces the population, will spread exponentially, but will only target the recoded version of the essential gene. So it's much safer at that point. Both of the drives escape from the island. The first one won't work on the mainland because it's the threshold of that gene drive. The second one will work because he goes exponential drive is only targeted for the recoded one. So you can do some of the ideas behind safety in the wild, and there's additional things you can safety in the laboratory. You can have obviously physical isolation, but physical isolation is not sufficient for certain organisms. For example, the gain of function viruses are not considered a good idea, even with physical containment. And genetic containment, ecological containment, where you grow Anopheles gambii, not in the middle of the Anopheles belt in Africa, but in Boston, where there's no Anopheles in the environment. So physical, genetic, and ecological isolation. This is the genetic isolation where you put the Cas9 not in the guide, not in the drive. The guide is in the drive, not in the Cas9. So you've broken the guide in half, for instance. So when it goes out to the wild, the wild won't have Cas9, and so it will fade into a non-exponential form immediately. We tested out all these safety mechanisms in yeast, which doesn't fly, which is another safety feature, and we're moving into mosquitoes. One of the safety mechanisms, and on a broad phylogenetic tree of wild yeast strains, and it's very efficiently figured out the red versus white assay, and you see all these tetrads from yeast, close to 100% gene drive success rather than normal median ratio of 50, as you see in this tetrad here. We have up to each. So you can end on that note. The goal of gene drive is not just malaria. You can use it on invasive species. For example, invasive rodents are causing extinction of a large number of birds and reptiles on over 700 islands. Some of these invasive species have been removed by rodent killing toxic chemicals, but it's very problematic on the bigger islands and the islands that have humans and pets and agricultural species. This was done as part of the Carter's International Physical Fellow at the base. Andy Spindler is a graduate student, 70 graduate student here with Lenny Cambridge's lab at the Harvard School of Public Health. They have a really great malaria mosquito isolation facility. So I'll finish a little bit early, hopefully it's provocative enough that there are a few questions. Thank you. Yes. So going back to your nominating your personal network, do you think we use the word ideally you probably measure on our technical level, but also have a measure for potential for alternative and taking into account diversity of because that is really out there like that. So the simple answer is yes, and I'll repeat the question. I think everybody heard it, but just to reframe it, the answer is so simple. The proposal is that we should have a new metric for on-target risk focuses on containment and suppressors, and it could be either one or the other, depending on whether you're doing a nuclease or an activator or a repressor. So you don't necessarily have to, but the point is you don't have to necessarily work on every single base pair. Some base pair are much more important than others as on-targets. And the second part of the proposal is that we really focus on individual genome. Right, so I totally agree with all those. Yes. Okay, so the question was about our personalized which multivirus resistance, and this was just to illustrate our dedication to safety more than anything else, but it's probably not abnormal for everybody. As another example, this is an E. coli. The principle methods can be used in more complicated organisms, but we've changed the genetic code. So the idea here is that when the virus comes in, the very few things the virus have in common, they all have different receptors they bind to, different polymerases and so forth, but they all share a need for the genetic code. If you change it sufficiently, it'll be resistant to all viruses, including viruses you've never characterized before, and complete resistance is where they can't be. So the viruses can't evolve to deal with them. That's the theory anyway. In the first strain we tested, we didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but the two viruses we inspected in detail is already resistant to both of them. At about 1,000-fold level, we expect the next strain will be essentially infinitely resistant. That's the idea. Yeah. That's true. I know that after your list, do you have any genomic engineering? Genomic engineering? Yes. Well, the illustration I gave for genomic engineering was the CFAM and the generation of neurons. So we had CRISPR activators. The Viper allows up to 20,000-fold enhancement of CRISPR activity. That's what I meant by epigenome. I know some people consider epigenomics only. Yeah. This I read on the CRISPR that people are trying to make that just going to target DRC, right? DNA replacement, but still there's no success. So I didn't even know why we were working on methylation or the many aspects of epigenomics that one can leverage now. Cas9 seems to be a little platform because the domains on it. I think my point about epigenomics is many of these things accomplish the same goal. If you repress it one way or another, if you activate it one way or another. But the point is we have an increasing number of tools in the toolbox, and we have this in-situ sequencing method for assessing whether the epigenomics is working in detail, not just in broad strokes. I didn't put the acronym, but just published in Science and Nature protocols. How many people here have the genome sequence? That's it. It's permitted to do. It's permitted to the pipeline. All sorts of had a great first kick off with Eric Green giving us a pretty general overview of both from genomics to digital health and medicine, and we'll follow that up, I think, with an equally impactful talk from George Church. And since most of us know well George's work, I thought great to have somebody more personally connected give the intro for George. So Jason Bowe will Great. I should say there are two prime seats for people in the back, so it'll be a good time to cover the cat grab seats if you want them. I'm Jason Bowe, and I'm the director of the Genetic Library here at the Institute. And thanks to Eric, Pamela, and Judy, and Orly who put us together, I've known George and worked with George for the past 10 years. And when I was asked to do a 1-minute introduction of George, I thought it was a bit like being asked to write a summary of Wikipedia in 140 characters. So it was a big challenge. And George really has had many professional faces, and his list of achievements so far in his career are extraordinary. And it's really no coincidence that he was awarded several years ago the Power Prize, which is the longest running technology prize in the United States, and it's an award that's shared by Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Marie Curie, and many other legends of technology, science, and medicine. For people who are really familiar with genomics, you may know George the best from the perspective of the Personal Genome Project, which he founded 10 years ago in 2005. And there are now sites in 4 countries, going on a dozen more. And this effort has been pioneering for the field of personal genomics in regards to reciprocity, data sharing, the concept of open consent, and pioneering participatory research where participants are investigators in the research study. And this effort has really made a lasting impression on many people around the world, not least the thousands of participants who have signed up for one of these many PhD sites in the world. Let's see here. So what you may not know is that George also has made incredible contributions in reading genomes. His contribution to the reading genome is really just a small part of a larger set of projects, which includes writing genomes in the field of synthetic biology. And so many of the extraordinary projects that I encourage you to look up and read his book, Genesis, MAGE, Gene Drives, Mirror World through E. coli, Polynese, and he was made a formative effort in getting the brain initiative going, DNA, origami, nanorobots, and many more. And his book, also something very special about it, is that he included all 350 pages of his book, DNA, and so it's one of the single most printed book in the world. There are over 70 billion copies, which of course fit on the head of a pin. It has DNA, and he has his work editing, he's made several contributions to CRISPR technology, which many people are excited about, of course. And in his spare time, he's also bringing back cold-tolerant elephants. You might know them as woolly mammoths. And so his contributions really as one of the greatest technologists of our era. He's also a very successful entrepreneur. And so you might see his technologies and products in many of the companies such as these, and his consequences slide is legendary. So please help me with a warm welcome of George Church. There's a conflict of interest slide, there's a slide about, and I do have, I will say nice things about some of these organizations that helped us get our technologies from the ivory tower into the marketplace for immediate use. I frame some other frame this talk as a collection of technologies that might be useful to people in the room. This one will be framed sort of this argument of why big data is easier than little data. And it's not a topic that I talk about all the time, but why not? And so you might say, yeah, it's better than little data, but now, if there was a while where you weren't sure it was better, but is it really easier? Why would you say it's easier? This is one of your typical data warehouses visited in England, and they have 250 kilowatts per computer unit, and all of the pipes are so that you can douse the whole thing with heptafluoric propane in case there's a problem. You don't really want to be in there when all the heptafluoric propane goes down to put out fire, and you have to wear these ear protection because of the noise in there. Same way that this is what big data is associated with in mind. I'm going to say that it is easier, and I'm going to give a few anecdotes that are connected, starting with a very early one where we didn't really know how we would go about understanding RNA, and then we'll end with how we look at RNA because similar sort of like what is the advantage of going to 3 dimensions and getting really big data sets about cells, tissues, organs, human beings, and environment. And then these are the topics along the way. Just keep seeing the slide and so you'll know where you are. You never believe. So this is me in 1973. Just going here yet, teenager. Doing what most teenagers do, solving crystal structures of nucleic acids. And here is the status sort of in the early 70s of what people thought transfer RNA would look like. And needless to say, they're all wrong. They were based on chemical reactivity and things like that. And what we did instead is we collected 8,000 plus diffraction data points to cover 652 non-hydrogen atoms. And it turned out to be a much richer, much more informative, and most importantly correct structure, and it's still in use to this day. There's a similar kind of anxiety that went around starting the Genome Project, which will be the topic here. How would we go about comparing genomes, and what were the shortcuts we could use to bring the price down from what we worried would be, $3 to $30 billion down to something reasonable. And this was the project kind of started in a little meeting I was at in 1984 with the Department of Energy, and then started to real in 1990 with the NIH. And in between was this National Academy of Sciences study where they invited a bunch of people to give their opinion. And I was in the room when one of your scientists, who her main name was, calculated this calculus where you compare the human genome to itself, or some large number of genomes to themselves. So 3 billion squared would be 10 to the 19th operations of some sort you would need to compare. And so this would be on the order of 300,000 CPU years. And hence 99% of the genome budget should go to him and his computer science colleagues. So this was not at all a self-serving, and you actually believe this. And it ignored the fact that there were already in the computer science literature linear algorithms for doing these searches, and some were even better than linear. And yes, we got to ask Google and lots of other things to do things like this all the time for much less. And so we ended up spending a tiny fraction of the genome budget on computing. nevertheless, it was a fairly big project at the time, and it was, these were the sequence shortcuts that were suggested over and over again. I'm getting this kind of a love-up analysis of why smart people don't always do really super smart things. And so one of the things is every round seemed to pass through a phase where their goal was to get 1x coverage. And for those who know the target here, that means covering every phase for exactly once. So you wouldn't wastefully sequencing 2 or 3 times. This is too painful to even imagine sequencing the genome more than once. And so now, for those of you who are smiling, it's routine to do 30 or 50x coverage of human genomes. And so that's really good algorithm coverage just in case. And it's adaptable. And then they would focus on protein coding. It was almost canceled because when people realized that 99% of the genomes didn't code the proteins, and then they thought of various clever ways of doing this. The least clever part of it is we saw that that's called protein, even though we pretty much sequenced 100,000 human genomes. If we were done it this way, we'd still be doing it. And then focusing on single digit more business, not taking any advantages of disadvantages. So this is what I think people didn't really anticipate, and I think they give the excuse for not anticipating it. So we were on a nice Moore's law curve, which is actually breathtaking, both for the computing world of the green Moore's law and also for sequencing going back to the dawn of sequencing in the 60s. We were on this nice curve, and in the computer science community, there's a computer engineering community, much more disciplined than they stuck with this law, but we didn't. We were just kind of like fell off this cliff in 2005, which is we'll skip over today. But the point is it has to keep going, and I don't really think it's plateauing. I think it's still going faster than Moore's law. And you'll see some of the reasons is that we're going through this three-dimensional and subcellular resolution. And there's a lot of information there. And so it's taking 6 decades is really ridiculous and very aggressive exponential Moore's law, which is about 6 years. But one thing just about cost, you wouldn't want to have a really cheap genome, which is 75% error rate, which you can get quickly, actually. So we were debating at the beginning of the project whether 10 to the minus 2 or 10 to the minus 3 was the right number for the error rate. I thought at the time that I still feel it would have been the following way to achieve the goal, and probably would have taken us longer if we had set that as the goal. Anyway, now we're published the publications that had 10 to the minus 7, including one that we co-authored with CGI in 2012, and the unpublished data they're getting for the well-behaved parts of the genome is around 1 error rate. It's still not so well-behaved parts of the genome, but even these are reflecting this second plot, which is a haplotype data, and the alterations, the variations that occur in the chromosome. And these, the sort of the 2007, the first diploid genome, which is done ABI calculator, this was around 300,000, and now it's getting up into the multi-million base pairs. We really want to telomere, and we'll come back to the very end. I'll do that. Now, something that we keep hoping every time we get a monopoly for a brief period of time at ABI for a while, and Illumina is right now partially shared with Complete Genomics, but it's basically a monopoly. We keep hoping that there will be another one. There have been quite a few monopoly breakers. Illumina basically broke 454's monopoly. This is one that will spring the film for is the oldest and slowest technology developed. So I'm not like giving these guys a break, and I was involved in it in the late 80s and still. And if this handheld, that's kind of cool. So even if it doesn't keep the real value to sort of real-time monitoring of your environment for to see whether it's full of H21 or something worse. And let's see. Have a one-laser helicase motor stripping off one strand that goes through the 4. This is a kind of conventional single molecule 4 ion measurement. This is a Sagan there, published on 1975. And here the conductor through the 4 is modulated by the single strand of DNA. And ideally there'd be a narrow point that would detect 1 base, typically for like 4 bases. So you get kind of blurriness and you have more polymer runs. But you can see in this published data from some of these groups that you can't distinguish runs and Cs from Cs, Cs, and As. These have a distinctive heteroampere conductors. That's one way of doing it. But you're kind of pairing together about 4 bases at a time, so really distinguish it. You have to be able to discriminate between 6 different levels. The alternative way of doing it is to, instead of running it past, running single strand DNA through the 4, you run past the 4 with a polymerase stepping along, and now you're detecting the presence of a triphosphate rather than the single strand DNA itself. And only as a triphosphate goodbye does it confer the signal. And I'll show you, so instead of getting these, where you don't drop the baseline in between bases, you get something if you drop the baseline in between. So these are intentionally difficult sequence small polymers again, 4Gs, 4As, 4Ts, colored green, red, blue. And you can see here, you get these 4Gs in between the cross. It goes back up to the baseline of 225 microamperes, and they're discrete zones for these three types of bases. So this is a contrast of those two methods. Genia is the second one, where you have a polymerase doing polymer extension at any spaces that goes by has a long tail with a polymeric tag. The original polymers were polyethylene glycol, the new polymers are actually, you click out DNA. So it's a little confusing. You've got DNA, parts of double stranded DNA being read, and DNA tagged on to the polyphosphate on the end of each triphosphate. But anyway, it dangles in like a fishing line and they get detected as they go by. And this has the advantage that the rate of this can essentially be very similar to the rate of the more complex machines that weigh about half a ton like PacBio or the Illumina, but it can fit on this little chip, the X is having this little chip, which is now 128,000 cores in the case of Genia, and will scale to 10 million very soon. And this is a picture from our 1995 count. This was very similar to how we're actually doing it today. So one of the things, so that's just very speculative, still they are now, both of them are available in labs being beta tested, producing data, the oxygen force this data on the order for E. coli and yeast, and the Genia is about a few years behind them, but we're just a few months behind in terms of producing data. Now you can say, well, if we keep having this super steep exponential growth in capabilities beating Moore's law, then surely we're going to have problems with computing and the storage and the interpretation of other things. And so let's tackle that question of big data storage in a typically quirky way. So at the sort of the early days of these sequencing by synthesis, where you have this sort of randomly distributed amplified single molecules. Each one would be yielding fluorescent data. And so they weren't ideally gridded, and you have to collect quite a few pixels for each piece of DNA. And so you have to collect maybe 100 types of information in order to get one base pair. It's a lot of the black, a lot of them you have to collect around it to make sure it's separated from other data. And then you do it 30x coverage, which already caused many people to get in project to freak out because it was 30x. Anyway, it's on the order of terabytes, many terabytes. But then, if you look in the computer science literature, if you do a really good job of sequencing, if you really get accurate enough sequencing that you can boldly throw away in this data, you can get it down to 2.5 megabytes. So instead of 10 to the 13th bytes, on your 10 to the 6 bytes to store it relative to a reference. And so, here's the reference on that. So the reference genome sequence, because you're just flowing the references basically. You still have to slow the reference, but that's small compared to this. And so if you want to store the entire human population of human genomes to 7 billion, not 6 billion, it's only 2 times 10 to the 15th bytes. This is pathetic. I mean, the internet in a day will be using up 1,000 times that much in traffic, and even fairly simple computers can't handle this amount, and that's the entire human race. And in fact, we got to the point where, partly as an effort at irony, people used to ask me how you can store this data, and I just said, well, I'll store the DNA. And I said, well, this is taking myself seriously. Once we started storing digital information, it was not DNA sequencing into DNA, so reversing the flow of information. And this is something I did in my own hands group. I had the purple gloves, and I was advised by my postdoc fellow, so he gave his thoughts off. He said I was his best postdoc so far, and I said I was also his worst postdoc so far. Anyway, I got good thoughts on this science paper, and since then, we're now scaling up to do a video with a major European data archiving company, and Sri at UCLA is doing an album for an amazing musical team called Indigo, for those people who see music. So we got data storage, but not quite handled, but it's, I've seen some issues around it. The sharing's got to be even worse, and it's worth not to do with big data, we can take human data. So I'm just going to quickly go through Jason mentioned this and hammer through hard on it. Here's an example of the personal genome project that Jason mentioned is now was chosen by the National Institute of Technology and the Food and Drug Administration in a whimsical project they call the Genome in a Model.org, which is to set standards. Anytime any new company wants to develop a new diagnostic, a new instrument, a new protocol, and they want to make sure that their tests that they're doing can be compared to other tests from previous and future methods, they'd like to know that their model of DNA came from the same fragment of DNA. So they're doing 24 of these, so 8 trios, 2 parents in a style, and they look all over the world for suitable samples, and that would be telling you they pick ours as the only project goes properly consented for identification and commercial use. And so all the reference genomes will be from these 8 trios, which are intentionally very diverse in ancestral origin. And then many other projects that have benefit from this we've done. We work with an code, which is a way of looking at all kinds of epigenetic data. We'll go on that later, but we've provided them with billions of cells so they can characterize fibroblastic cells, neurons, and so on, which was previously very hard for them to do. So why is this project useful to so many groups? And it is because it's totally shareable. It's the most shareable data set in cells and synthetic biology on the planet. Possibly the world's only data set that combines medical data and genomic data. And because everything is synthetic, they have to get on its own. And it's very simple. An example at this point was when we started the IRB one, everybody had a PhD in genetics, which I'm glad we got through that phase quickly. That's no longer the case for regular people. We have these biobank includes themselves, not limited to them, mostly through Corel. So here's some of my cells that have been redifferentiated systems, redifferentiated to neuronal rosettes as one of our favorite, and then individual bipolar neurons. And then this is my original frame before it was sliced by MRI. Those all virtual cells and actual cells. And it's the other reason about this is good is because you can keep adding additional. The more data that accumulates, the more valuable that cohort becomes, and so more groups want to do phenotyping and other measurements, molecular and otherwise. And so this has been recently launched as a human project. This includes these 3 groups, but some more groups again will get conference. We've got out of the 26 different tests being on the people real time during the conference. All 6 mechanisms to do this annually. Okay, so in addition to storage and data sharing, is this once you have data sharing, you're in a much better position to look for variants of unknown significance. This is like the big gorilla in the room when it comes to clinical use of all this wonderful big data. How do you get a variant of unknown significance? I think that everything we've talked about so far is needed for that. You need to be able to do comparisons, you need to have high quality genome sequence, not shortcuts, in storage and sharing. But how do we deal with this big gorilla of variants of unknown significance? Some people feel that you really can't make progress without his mother. And then, but what you do when you have an N equal 1